Hey, good morning, or almost good afternoon. Welcoming you to another adventure with Kat and Harry with Traveling Cat Photos.
Today we're going on an adventure and taking you with us.
Let's go.
All right, so today we are at the Golden Gate Visitor Center, but we aren't hanging out in San Francisco today. Today,
we're headed to Point Reyes.
That's right, Point Reyes National Seashore, to celebrate our 37th wedding anniversary. Yay!
Yay!
All right, we're going up to the Roundhouse Cafe, grabbing some coffee, hitting the Visitor Center, and then hitting the road. Let's go. The Visitor Center was built in 2012. So it was all brand new to us. Online it makes this look like it's a really, really small place. Hey, you got the stamp. All right. So they do have your national passport stamp here that you're able to get. Now this is a National Historic Park, not a national park, but we collect stamps from everywhere. Those are women's shirts. There we go. Oh, there are the stickers. I knew I'd find them eventually. That one's really cool. All right. Found the two I want. What'd you find? Oh, that is a cool shirt. I like that. We really have just everything you'd want here, huh? This was not the easiest place to get to because sometimes the main corridor is cut off, buses only, so sometimes you have to cut through town. But it's totally worth it. I think you definitely want to come out. You can see that there is a lot to see here, and why we ended up spending more time than we'd planned checking it all out. The parking is timed, and you need to be able to use the app to pay for it, but it's about $5 per hour, so fairly reasonable for a city. The Golden Gate Bridge was completed in May of 1937, and if built today would cost over $1.5 billion. And while it's true that the color was supposed to be more golden, the name Golden Gate refers to the entrance to the San Francisco Bay from the Pacific Ocean, the Golden Gate Strait, not the color of the bridge.
So we're here at the Roundhouse Cafe, and the view from here is spectacular. You can see the Golden Gate all the way to Alcatraz, and then the Bay Bridge.
We walked around the building to get to the main overlook. The views here are simply amazing of the bridge, the bay, and the city. But what we didn't know is that you can take a walk all the way down to Fort Point from here. It would be quite the nice little hike, and we can highly recommend a tour of the fort. In fact, one of my favorite views of the bridge is from the roof. We had fun exploring the area of the Visitor Center, but we had to get on the road if we were going to have any time in Point Reyes. A few more fun facts about the bridge. Each of those towers is 500 feet high above the roadway. The bridge is 1.7 miles long, and each one of those cables is made up of over 27,000 wires. While it isn't very far to our first stop, we knew it was going to take a lot longer than an hour and a half, since we had plans to take our time, enjoy the coastal views, and stop for lunch along the way. All right, so that was a totally different crossing of the bridge than we did last time we came over. Not a stitch of fog anywhere to be seen.
It's a clear day, bright sunny skies, and actually warmer than I thought it was going to be up here. It's a great day. It's a beautiful day.
And we got the big surprise of how cool that place was. So definitely go to the visitor center there. It's an incredible view of the bridge and some pretty good coffee too.
And the visitor center for the Golden Gate National Parks, which include Chrissy Field, Alcatraz, the Presidio, and Fort Point, I think. Cat will have that straight in the description, right?
Quite a few under that Golden Gate section we were talking about when we were talking about Sausalito and all of the National Historic Parks. The Golden Gate Bridge is part of that National Historic Park, so is Alcatraz, so is Fort Point. A lot of really cool stuff to see in this area that's not necessarily the city. So come on up, take a stop. You can get to the area faster by taking the 101 up to Petaluma and cutting over, but we decided to make a loop and head out of the city in the toll-free direction on the Golden Gate and take the one up to the park. And on the way back, take the 101 to the toll-free direction on the Richmond Bridge, so we can get different views and pay no bridge tolls along the way. The views did not disappoint.
Okay, we're going to pull out on the way to Stinson Beach. You can see up down the coast towards San Francisco, Sutro Tower way out there. But just a gorgeous overlook.
The views from the Pacific Coast Highway never disappoint. You can literally catch it at any point along the coast and get stunning views. It wasn't long before we saw the beautiful beaches of Stinson Beach. And the one thing Stinson has is places to grab a bite to eat, even if the parking can be a bit difficult. We decided that Breakers was the one we were going to try this trip. All right, let's take a look at this menu. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
We're having lunch at the Stinson Beach Breakers Cafe. It was pretty funny. I had to pull over for a work call for a minute, and then on our way back out of town, parking karma was in full effect, and we got a spot right in front of the restaurant.
So I got the chili verde, which looks pretty good. And here, what did you get?
I got a steak sandwich.
Thank you. Ooh, look at that. That looks really good. All right, let's see. Yep. All right, so we can recommend. Go ahead and stop off here on your way through Stinson's Beach. Of course, Stinson's Beach is famous because it has a fantastic beach. So if it's time to hang out, go ahead. But we are on our way to Point Reyes.
Top of it. Or when the water receded, the gunk stayed on the top of the grass.
Right. There is quite a lot to do in this area of California. If you check out a map, you will see dozens of places to visit, hike, bike, and paddle. It's only about 15 miles between our lunch stop and the first visitor center, but as we turn the corner, we got the sweetest surprise. California quail! They are just so adorable. Then we found black-tailed deer too, including some pretty young ones, just hanging out. These deer are considered a keystone species in the park. Fluctuations in their population can indicate how healthy the ecosystem is and how to manage it better if needed. We made it to the Bear Valley Visitor Center. We're going to find out a little bit more about where to go and what to see. Let's go in. If you've been following the channel a bit, then you know that the first stop is always to get our stamp. Many of the parks have numerous stamps, and it's always fun to see how they vary from park to park. Oh, that's fun. This one had the elk stamp along with the traditional shield and date stamps. They have a small but very well stocked gift shop. And yes, I got more stickers for my book. but I was quickly distracted by this exhibit of under-the-sea textile art animals, so intricate and beautiful. The ranger offered to start the park film in the auditorium for us, and we are always up for learning more about where we are exploring.
Point Reyes National Seashore, part of the U.S. National Park Service, is a land like no other. This beautiful land is perched atop one of the world's most violent geological zones, the San Andreas Fault. Lightkeepers endured savage winter storms, endless fog. One bull elephant seal's blubber could produce nearly 25 gallons of oil. They were hunted close to extinction in the late 1860s. When the seal oil industry died out, the elephant seal returned to Point Reyes on its own.
I've been a museum geek since before I knew that they were called museums. The park system has worked to make their visitor center museums fully accessible by either building them that way or renovating the older buildings to allow access. I'm not a taxidermy fan, but I realize that many guests will never see the wildlife that calls this park home due to either time spent or remote access issues. So putting them on display here means that you get to learn more about the animals, the people, and the terrain that you are visiting. One of the wonderful facts about Point Reyes National Seashore is the many different types of ecosystems there are to explore. From the woodlands to the open prairies to the seashore and the ocean itself. You can see a fox in one area and then a breaching whale a half hour later. It wasn't until this point that we realized that this, like most of the parks, is not a one-day visit type of park, and we would need to come back several times to truly explore it. We had no idea so many different types of animals and birds call this home. Gulls, murres, cormorants, all sorts of wetland birds like egrets. Godwits, great blue heron. And we saw the deer and the quail ourselves. That was cute. That is a tiny little owl. While at the museum, we picked out 4 locations we wanted to visit. Stop 1 is located on the inland side of the park, and one we'd seen on social media quite a bit. This is where you find the wetlands of Tamales Bay. It was now about 3 p.m., and with sunset slated for 5:15, we knew we didn't have nearly enough time to see everything. In this area, there are plenty of small businesses as well as hotels where you can spend the night. All of the campgrounds are either backcountry hike-in or boat-in, so if you're hoping to camp in the area, you'll need to do so outside of the park and drive in instead. The closest is on the one near Olima. Keep in mind that most of these businesses, even the restaurants, close around sunset. While we were on a tight time schedule, we were determined to see whatever we could see without hurrying, and we were immediately rewarded with these views and even an egret hanging out in the reeds. But this stop in Inverness is more famous for a boat, and the whole reason we stopped. The walk out to it is flat, even, and easy. The views of the bay are simply gorgeous.
There's this weird old wreck out here. I guess it didn't wreck. I think it was marooned and then just left. And it's out here falling apart.
Okay, so the shipwreck you see behind us is not really a shipwreck. It was a boat that was abandoned there, And of course the elements took over, making it look like this dramatic shipwreck. And they just keep it basically for the tourists who come to see it.
Just fell apart. That's all. It was maroon, just stranded.
But it's still a cool place, and it is on the maps. All right, next place that I think has become very touristy that we're hoping there's hardly anybody there.
Yeah, right, okay.
Cross your fingers. This is where we head west towards the coast and our other 3 destinations, including the lighthouse. This meant that we had to skip the whole northern part of the park, but the lighthouse closes at 4 p.m., and we were just hoping that we could make it with just a brief stop first at what is probably the most famous and photographed view in Point Reyes, the Cypress Tree Tunnel. The Grove is very popular, known as one of the places to go. If you want to catch it empty, you're going to have to come either the very end of the day or the very beginning of the day. Otherwise, it looks pretty much like this. We did come back near sunset, and it was magical. At the end of this alley, the trees is an icon in the history of American communication. The Art Deco-style radio station built in 1931 received wireless Morse code messages sent from ships. What a beautiful driveway. We took the time to take our selfie, enjoy one last view of it, and then it was off towards the lighthouse. It's only 12 miles from the tunnel to the lighthouse, but we were to find that there is a lot to see in between, including a few of the historic ranches that have been part of this area for over 150 years. These are known as the Alphabet Ranches.
The historic D Ranch.
We had not planned on the coyote that just took our breath away. And right about the time we got it back, the views up at the top of the grade leading to the lighthouse took our breath away again. Unfortunately, we had missed the lighthouse by 15 minutes, so another item to return for in the future. But our timing was just right for more wildlife. We found this black-tailed buck and his family right on the road on our way to Drake's Beach. Just so beautiful. You get to see even more of those amazing Pacific Coast views, both left and right, as you travel back down this elevated road to the many beaches in this area. At this point, we were just trying to make it to the beach before sundown when we found these Thule elk and their giant antlers, and then the whole herd. Thule elk are only found in California. The Point Reyes herd was hunted till there were only a few, so the Parks Department introduced 10 animals from the herd near Los Banos to help the gene pool and the herds grow in a healthy way. They were very successful in the northern part of the park. There are also free-ranging populations, and this one near Drake's Beach is estimated to be about 55 individuals. We were dazzled. And remember those ranches? Keep a lookout for free-ranging cows. All right, everyone, coming in live. We are celebrating Harry's birthday today.
Yay.
At Warner Brothers Studio Tour. But we didn't want to end season 4 without saying thank you to all of you who come back every other week and hang out with us. Remember to leave the thumbs up, and we love the comments.
Yeah, keep commenting. Comment a lot.
It is so much fun to talk to you all. And of course, those of you who are our subscribers, we make these films for you, so we're really happy you come back. And lastly, for those of you who throw us $5 or $10 a month on our Patreon, man, you really help us go farther, see more, do more, and then be able to share more. So thank you so much for joining us. Season 5 is coming up on January 2nd.
Right.
And we taped a special trip to start off season 5 to show you. We taped it in July. That'll start on January 2nd, because also on January 2nd we start downsizing for the RV.
Yeah.
So we're clearing out the house, getting ready for the RV, and we'll share bits and pieces with you as we get that done.
As we get closer to being nomads. Anyway,
buy your truck, as we buy the RV, we'll include you all in it. But we just wanted to say thank you to all of you who are out there supporting us. We deeply appreciate you. Check back on Christmas Day. We'll have a special video for you. You can always find us on Facebook and Threads and Instagram if you want to check in with us. But right now, let's get you back to Point Reyes and Drake's Beach.
Take care.
As we slowed at the Drake's Beach turn, we were stunned by the beauty of this red-tailed hawk and its prey on the post. The wildlife bounty continued. The visitor center at Drake's Beach is being renovated, but there's still a lot of history here, including that Sir Francis Drake landed here in 1579. I thought the construction was cool, and there are restrooms still available, and the gift shop and museum is scheduled to reopen in December 2024. Drake's Beach is a drive-up beach. The parking lot is steps from the sand, and it's fairly accessible with beach wheelchairs available to reserve. Even the soft sand is fairly firm, and we're only a little way on the beach before a couple of plovers ran by. The western snowy plover nest here as well, so you are likely to see them as well as several other seabirds as you walk the beaches. This time of the year, early November, the beaches are nearly deserted at sunset, and with golden hour in full glow, the sandstone cliffs were stunning. The cliffs were created by sands about 13 million years ago, compacted and uplifted to create the incredible sight we see today. Because the waves are smaller on this beach than the other west-facing beaches, it's a very popular place for families in the warmer months. With easy parking, the visitor center, and picnic areas so close, you can imagine how crowded it can be. We were happy to have it to ourselves. The sound of the waves and the interesting patterns in the sand were more than enough to keep us happy, but it was nothing compared to the joy that a flock of sanderlings brought with them. Watching them race across the sand, looking for clams in the sand, and then race back up the shoreline away from the waves had us giggling. Sanderlings are a bit smaller than a sandpiper, but like the Disney short film Piper, they search for the same food in the same way. The little shovel-type tips on their bills make them pretty successful hunters, too. At this point, we found a log and just enjoyed the views of the sunset, the birds, and the surf. What a great end of our day and our visit to Point Reyes National Seashore.
So we're wrapping up our day here at Drake's Beach. It's beautiful.
We've had an incredible day. You saw all that wildlife. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was a pretty good wildlife day, I must admit. That was good.
Incredible. It is, as you can see by my hat, just a tad bit windy. So, yeah, hats had to go on. Jackets had to go on. The scarf had to get tighter. It's a little chilly. But, it's
really
been a great way to celebrate our 37th wedding anniversary. And in case you're wondering, that is 13,515 days together. Married. Longer than that. Just together, but...
She did the math.
I did the math. 13,515. Crazy,
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And,
Well, actually, next week, but we're
right,
celebrating
so we
today.
are 4 days early celebrating. So I guess 13,511 today. He still has 4 days to rethink that whole option. But all kidding aside, this is a great adventure. We're having a wonderful time. And here's to a whole lot more.
Exactly.
All right,
Alrighty.
guys.
Take care.
Safe travels.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye. We will leave you with a few more views of the sunset and these funny little birds, along with a recommendation for you to add this to your list. And if you're looking for more beautiful views, check out our last video all about Lake Tahoe.